Hey, I'm going to do a quick little video to show you how to easily make any bow that you want. We're going to start with a very basic bow. Bows have names. This one is a terry bow. If you want to do something different, then you just add more loops. But this is the simplest way on earth to make a bow. So for this one, we're going to use this really pretty hot pink and gold polka dot 1.5 inch, and that's going to be our first layer. And then we're going to use the black and white stripe 2.5 inch. That'll be our second layer. And then we'll use this pretty hot pink and glitter polka dot in 2.5 inch. And we also need a pipe cleaner or a chenille stem. And so once you get the steps to this down, you can add loops. You can make them bigger or smaller for whatever bow you need. But I just start out. So this one is going to have 3 loops and 2 tails. So I just pull some off and I figure out how long I want my tail to be. And this is the first layer. So the loops and the tails are going to be shorter and will gradually increase in size as we do our next layers. So I'm holding it like this, and I want my tail to be about this long. I'll probably end up cutting some of it off, but that's fine. But then I'm just going to gather it here, and I'm going to make my first loop, and I'll gather it in the same place. And the easiest way, instead of trying to do the twist and the flip and everything, is just to come down here and do your next loop. This is the most important part. So see, I've just folded it under to make my next loop. I'm going to gather it, still holding between these 2 fingers. That's my thumb and my forefinger, and pinching. And right now I want to check and make sure that my loops are, I have to do this, the same height. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing again. You can flip your ribbon if you need to. Most of the time I just wait till it gets good and twisted. And so I make my 3rd loop, and then we have 2 tails. This is the only time that I'm going to twist it, but I'm going to twist it so my tail is right side up. And we're going to cut this one. And these are not my good scissors. So then we take our pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to fold it in half. And going from the front here, we just, can you see? So I've just put my loops and my tails between the pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to give it one twist because we're going to layer this. But now I want you to see that we have a head, we have 2 arms, and we have 2 legs. So if I can get it where you can see it good. So we have our head, our 2 arms, which are our tails, and our 2 legs. And we're going to put this one aside, and we're going to move to the next color. And it's the exact same process. So I'm going to pull some of this off. And I'm going to figure out I want about this much for my tail. So I go ahead and make my first pleats. And then I figure out how big I want my loops. And I make my second pleat. Pull some of this ribbon off. Okay, I'm coming down here to make my second loop. I'm going to go ahead and pleat it here, but I always check to make sure that I have my loops equal heights. And now we're going to make our 3rd loop. Something else I should say, I always use wired ribbon. And so here, I've already done the twist, and I'm going to cut this tail. Now we're going to go back. So this will be, when we lay it down, we're going to lay it down this way, face down. And we're going to go on top of it with this. So I need to untwist it. Need to hold it down while you're untwisting it, or it'll pop off. But I get, can you see here? Move it down here. Okay, so I'm laying my pipe cleaner out. Now, when we do this one, we want to lay it upside down, and we still have head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. But we're gonna put the head on this one between the legs on the first one. And then we just get our pipe cleaner and we're gonna do one tight twist. It's kind of important to keep your twist tight to keep your ribbon from popping off. And we're gonna do our last layer. And it is just the same process. So we'll pull some off. Figure out how long I want my tail. First loop. And here I'm trying to keep my ribbon from twisting on me. So there's our first loop, and I'm just gathering it in, and again holding between these 2 fingers. Pull some more ribbon off. And we're gonna do our second loop. Tell that one's not long enough. There we go. Checking our height. So we have our second loop. So I've got a loop on this, the outside of my hand, and a loop on the inside of my hand. See if I can move this so you can see. And we're going to do our third loop. Gather it there and hold it. And now we'll cut our tail for this one. Okay, so we have all 3 pieces. I'm gonna move this over here so you can see it. I'm gonna untwist this again. Now, it gets a little tricky trying to hold and untwist and lay and everything else, but don't worry about it. You'll get it. So on this one, we want to put the head of the second layer, which is right here, between the legs of the third layer. And since this is all the layers that I'm gonna do for this video, then we're gonna twist it a couple of times really tight. And I always pull these out straight so I have something to hold on to. And now we're just gonna start fluffing. And since we use wired ribbon, it's really easy to put your loops and your tails wherever you want them. And when we're fluffing, we can also cover, see how I've covered the center? Now I'm gonna go in, and this is the trickiest part of this bow. I'm gonna dovetail my tails. So I fold my ribbon in half lengthwise, and then I just take my scissors and I go from the folded part to the outside, and we have, there you go, we have our little dovetails. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do that on all of my tails. And if you want your tails shorter, make them shorter. If you want them longer, make them longer. But we're just gonna dovetail our tails. When you're doing it, don't forget you go from the folded side down towards the edge. So we're gonna angle it. Let me see if you can see it. If I can do it this way. So we're going from the folded edge to the outside edge, and we're just clipping, and then when we unfold it, that gives us our dovetail. I'm always surprised at the people who don't know how to dovetail ribbon. Okay, that one was a little messy, but we'll worry about it later. So because we left our chenille stem long on the back, this I would go through, I spend more time fluffing than anything because I'm particular about the colors that I want next to each other. but you can sit it on something to fluff it, or you can hold it to fluff it. It's whatever you want to do. But making a funky bow is just that easy. If you want to make it bigger, add more loops. Instead of doing 3, do 5. You're always better off to do an odd number of loops. It makes your bow come out more even because you're always going to have tails. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, please let me know. There's our beautiful funky, this one is called a terry bow, but there's our beautiful funky bow. Let me know if you have any questions.